How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final
James Lindsay is obsessed with lying to his audience. What crazy things can he get them to believe? He does it irresponsibly to pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory destabilizes normativity, gender binary, and the nuclear family. James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. He used to believe in something. What happened? Mills for liberty. Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. A Gnostic sex cult, running from reality, totally lost in. What can we do? The mocking relentlessly. It's not a Gnostic sex cult, James. No, it's not. Stop lying to your audience. No, it's not. It's not Gnostic change. Mary Nardini tells us queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. Catch up, James. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. Whoa. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. To pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory stabilizes normativity, gender binary, and the nuclear family. But James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. To believe in something. What happens for liberty? Gnostic sex cult. stalk him relentlessly.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Friday, everyone. Listen, I gotta tell you guys, I'm in a really, really good mood. Not even just last night. Yesterday put me in a really, really, really good mood because it is just undeniable at this point that I've won. There's no getting around it. No one can spin this. We have successfully broken James Lindsay. James is broke. James is tweaking and is obsessed with me and is posting about me incessantly. He was posting about me all day yesterday. He posted 7 clips of me last night where I looked awesome in every single one of those clips. He has continued posting about me today. We won. We won. James is ours. I am permanently embedded in the middle of James Lindsay's head. And it's never going away. And it's never going to stop, James. It's never going to fucking stop. You want to know why? Because you've lied to millions of people and that's not cool, bro. It's not fucking cool. So, yeah. Has anyone ever been more goated? Has anyone ever been more vindicated? Has anyone ever achieved the level of triggering that I have successfully achieved in this situation? Listen, I have this book idea, and I actually have a Substack for this too. This is actually a book I want to write at some point. I want to write a book called The Art of the Trigger, just all about how you psychologically fuck with people. But do you guys want to know a secret? Do you guys want to know a secret of psychological fuckery? The secret of psychological fuckery is that all you need to do is plant a teeny tiny little seed in someone's head. And then you let that person fuck with themselves. Because it's like, if you can plant a teeny tiny little seed in someone's head, just a little nugget. And sometimes it's like a delayed release. It's like the little nugget doesn't manifest right away, but it sits in the person's head. And they think about it every once in a while, and then they start to become obsessed with it. Yeah, this is basically Inception. This is Inception level of psychological fuckery. You plant the nugget and you just let it grow. You let it gestate. You let it marinate. Because the worst psychological fuckery is not something that an individual inflicts upon another person. The worst psychological fuckery is the fuckery that we do to ourselves. And this is just a good life lesson in general. You will fuck with your own brain more than any other person you know ever will. When you create these stories that are unhinged, in which you are the victim and everyone's coming after you and you're in this constant uphill battle and the world is against you, that's you fucking with your own head. That's and you're doing it. No one else is doing it. Did I really do anything to James? No, I didn't. I reposted James's public statements. I streamed James's presentations and commented on them. And I maybe, contacted his stepdaughter when he refused to. I maybe did that. 28-year-old stepdaughter, not teenager like James is trying to make it out to be. But did I really do anything wrong? Did I really do anything so bad? I mean, you know what? James is saying he's going to get a restraining order against me, and I have to say I would kill to be a fly on that wall when James is talking to the judge, because here's how that conversation's going to go. The judge is going to go, "Mr. Lindsay, you are a public person with 500,000 followers. What exactly did she do to you?" And then James is going to have to say, "Your Honor, she told her audience to say capitalism in my live chat." Like, please let that happen. Please let James go and try to get a restraining order against me because I told people to say capitalism in his live chat. So in case people missed it, last night, James just started posting all these W clips of me on Twitter. And these are, I mean, like, you can go to James. Actually, you know what? You don't even need to go to James's feed. You can go over to the Carlin Updates account. If you are not following the Carlin Updates account, Bot and Reagan are doing an excellent job of disseminating the updates around me. So go and follow the Carlin Updates account. But Bot, I think this was Reagan. Reagan went above and beyond last night, so shout out to Reagan. Reagan posted all 7 clips of James posting my W's, and she had to screen record them because we wanted to get James' tweets in there, because James is like tweeting these unhinged things about me, and then he's posting clips that make me look fucking awesome. And so we got all 7 of them on the Updates account. You can go and find the posts. And they're just all amazing. They're all amazing. It was a really good night. And if you missed the stream I did about it last night, like a late night stream, I did actually watch all of those clips, and I was just like, I gotta say, I was really impressed. My haters have got some awesome clips, because I didn't have a single problem with anything that was in any of these clips. I thought that this was a clarifying moment. You know, one of the things that I've learned, and I talked about this a little bit last night, one of the things that I've learned is that James's audience is full of retards. But not everyone that follows James is a retard. There are people who follow James that are honestly in a search for information about the left, and they think that James is the only person out there because he's the one that's pushed by all these accounts. But James is not the best source of information about the left. I'm the best source of information about the left. And so if we can get my face and my name out there in front of smart people that are following James, what they tend to do is they meander over eventually. Eventually they find me, they end up in my chat, and then like a week or two later I hear from them and they say something like, "Carlin, I found you because James was complaining about you, but you explain everything so much better than he does, and I've learned so much more with you. And so I've given up on his content now because he doesn't really teach anything, and you're actually showing the real stuff." And I say, "I know. Welcome. We're really glad you're here." So James has a lot of retards following him, but he also has some smart people following him. So if James wants to advertise my amazing fucking show out to his audience so that the smart ones can find me, I have no problem with this. Please keep posting my stuff, James. Please keep retweeting it. Please keep posting it. I think it's pretty great. You're doing me a great service. In fact, last night, James tweeted, he was like, "I've got a whole thumb drive of these clips that a friend has made for me. And I just think, and you don't even want to know what's on that thumb drive." And I was like, "James, can you please just post all the clips? Can you please just make a master thread of these clips so that we can download them and then repost them? Because really, that would be doing us a favor. And I think he should do it. But then, this was the best. This was the fucking best. So last night, I was hanging out on Politically Provoked with Mio and Brittany, and they were doing a show about this new girl that's like hanging around the Groypers or something like that. And I was just like hanging out in the audience, and they invited me to come on the show. and we were talking about the war with James Lindsay, and they ended up playing some of the clips that James posted on the show last night, and we all agreed that all those clips were W's for me, and we all agreed that actually it worked out rather well because, you know, Mio and Brittany and I were in some. Mio and Brittany run something called Chaos Chat, and I'm in it. And Chaos Chat tends to be more functional if we have a common enemy that we can all be fighting against. Because if we don't have a common enemy that we're all fighting against, we end up fighting with each other. And so I was talking with them last night, and Mio was like, yeah, we need to make James our common enemy. And I was like, yes, Mio, we do. Yeah, we do. And so then Brittany was saying, do you guys remember how Brittany dressed up as me for Halloween? Brittany was saying because she has to have a private Twitter account right now for reasons. She was upset because she tweeted this picture at James, but he couldn't see it because her Twitter account is private. And so then I posted the picture on my Twitter account last night to bait James because it's funny. And James took the bait. I played him like a fiddle. And James took a screenshot of the Halloween photo with me and Brittany. And it was the best. And then James retweeted that out to his audience. And he said, my stalker, who has recently reached out to my family with malicious intentions, wants to make sure I never forget she's a psychopath. Yep, it's true. Brittany won Halloween. It's true. It's true. It is. And James's followers had no idea what to make of this. So check this out. This person's like, I can't tell if he's joking. I'm autistic AF, so someone spill the deeds. And James says, I'm not joking. She's obsessed with me and a psychopath. And it gets even better. Yo, what's that? Do you guys remember how I registered betterdiscourses.com and made it redirect to my Substack? And then I made the Better Discourses Twitter account as the alternative to New Discourses. And we've been trying to bait James with this shit for months. Well, James has just the logo is even better than James's. James says, my stalker even made a knockoff of my website if you didn't know. And so do you know what I did? Hopefully it hasn't hidden the reply. Do you know what I did? I responded to it from the Better Discourses Twitter account, and what I would love everyone to do is go reply to this tweet and like this tweet, and if you can't because James has blocked you, retweet it and heart it and all this stuff. So I replied to James from the Better Discourses Twitter account, and I said, everyone who wants primary source evidence from far-left groups is welcome to learn with us. We use video, audio, manifestos, and zines to show the real communists among us. Better is greater than new. Once people see the real stuff, they realize how much James has lied to them. And then I posted this picture that says, no Gnosticism, no shilling for Israel, no woke right panic, no open marriage scandal where the founder is banging the mills for liberties, just leftism decoded. So if everyone wants to go and respond to that and heart it and retweet it, that would be great. James is doing our advertising for us. And then check this out. I have to show you on James's timeline. Apparently Poetry Painter made some misery knockoff video of me that James retweeted. I'm not going to watch it. I just found out about this. But like, James is tweaking, yo. James is tweaking. James is spiraling. It's just amazing. And I gotta say, you know, I think that James is expecting me to tweak about this as much as he is. But you know what I'm gonna do? We're not gonna spend all day tweaking about James. Because here's the thing. James's audience is so misinformed that they actually have convinced themselves that I'm a queer theorist. For real. James's audience is now talking about how I am a queer theorist. So this person, Visible Trouble, is someone that James has retweeted before. And this person responded to this video of me where I'm talking about psychological fuckery. And he says, she is a queer theorist. And then this person responds, how can you tell? And this person responds, tactics, targets, and temperament, which means they really don't know anything. And then Nick, shout out Nick retweeted this person and said, define it, because I know she isn't one, but amuse me since you don't even know what actual queer means. And then this person responds, anti-normative positionality that uses critical constructivist sophistry for liberation. The goal is to trash understanding with category error sophistry. Candace is on the critical mysticism beat, pushing restoration. Thanks for the share. Guys, is that what queer theory is? Is queer theory an anti-normative positionality that uses critical constructivist sophistry for liberation? I mean, maybe if we want to get real wordy about it, maybe he hit on something tangentially related to it. The goal is to trash understanding with category error over sophistry. Does anyone know, or category error sophistry, yeah. Does anyone actually know what that means? What the fuck does critical mysticism mean? What does any of this mean? And then Nick says, what does normativity and liberation mean? And this person responds, grab a dictionary, comrade. Might need a philosophy book too. Try Judith Butler, Performative Iterative Speech Acts, Candace's Bread and Butter. And then Nick says, so you can't define it. To begin with, queer communists define normativity as capitalism, which they define capitalism as private property ownership. Liberation, they define as freeing themselves from capitalism. Carlin isn't queer because she likes private property. Correct. And this person says, oh, got it. You're a thrall. I thought we were talking about Candace O here, simp cognito. Queer Carlin's white knighting bard. Fucking amazing. Carry on. So James's audience doesn't know how to define queer theory. And so we're going to help them out. We're going to help them out. And today we're going to do something that I've actually wanted to do for a while, and I think it's going to be a fun little journey. We are going to go back to a classic queer Marxist training that I think we watched this over a year ago. And it's so crazy. And I feel like we've learned so much more about queer Marxism and queer anarchists and queer anarcho-communists and all this stuff since we last watched this that I want to give this another watch. Fun fact, the reason that I picked this out specifically is this is the very first time I heard of the Mary Nardini gang. This is the Mary Nardini gang is actually mentioned in this training and quoted. And so this was the very first time that thing, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but I recognized kind of like the mise en scène of it. This was the first time it came onto my radar. And so I feel like there's a whole lot of other stuff in here that we might catch up with this time that maybe we missed a year ago, just because we've learned so much more than we knew last year. So I want to watch it again. Southpod, aside from an anarcho-capitalist, why are like all the other anarchists just Marxists? Because you can be there are two types of anarchists. You can be an anarcho-capitalist or an anarcho-communist. If you're not an anarcho-capitalist, you're an anarcho-communist. Anarcho-communists are Marxists. Anarcho-communist means socialist, communist. That's like, it's in the word, communist. So that's why. Thank you for the super chat, Southpod. Yeah, James is going to say this is just crude Marxism. Gnosticism is the real deal. Totes, bro. Totes. Yup, Liquid Marble knows. I believe that was the one that introduced us to the Mary Nardini gang because they quoted it. Exactly. How many people watched this video with me last time? 1 in the chat if you watched this with me last time. 2 in the chat if this is going to be your first time seeing this video. 1 if you watched this with me last time. 2 in the chat if this is your first time seeing this video. You guys are in for a treat. Sophie is also in this. Our favorite Abolish the Family Socialist. Sophie. Yes. Violet is in this. Emmy O'Brien is in this. Who else do we have in this? Jules Joanne Gleason is in this. Ella O'Rourke is in this. There's a lot of like OGs. There's a lot of like queer Marxist OGs in this video. Some people have seen clips. Not everyone watched it with me. This is going to be great, guys. It's going to be great. So that's what we're going to do for happy hour today. We're not going to sit here and bitch and complain about James. We had our fun yesterday, and now we're moving on. And we're going to watch 2 hours of queer Marxism. Now, the video is called Transgender Marxism. It's on one of our favorite revolutionary socialist channels, Red May. Red May is a radical revolutionary socialist group out in Seattle that every month of May, like every year during the month of May, they host a lot of like socialist programming all around Seattle. This past year was really kind of lackluster, if I'm honest about it. I hope nothing is wrong with Philip. That's Philip. He runs Red May. Philip went to Columbia, of course. But I hope nothing is wrong with Philip because Red May this past year kind of sucked. And I want him to come back and be better because Red May is a YouTube channel, has a lot of classic videos that are really helpful. Thank you for shout out and correct. Nick, you didn't make a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. I just wanted you to post the videos so that he had something to respond to. But you made no mistakes, Nick. I was just offering a helpful piece of advice. But I appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. Soygoy Roy says transgender communism is different from queer Marxism. Aha. Aha. No. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because here's the thing, and I don't know that I've had the opportunity to teach you yet, Soygoy Roy. When we are talking about anarcho-communists, when they use the word transgender, they don't mean to transition from man to woman or woman to man. When they use the word transgender, they mean transform gender or transcend gender, as in abolish the gender binary. So if we're talking about abolishing the gender binary, that by definition is queer. Queer and trans are not the same thing because trans people who want to transition from man to woman or woman to man, they want to uphold the gender binary because whether or not they're changing between the two, there are still two genders when they transition, right? But queer Marxists want to abolish the gender binary altogether, and that's why when they say trans, they mean transform or transcend. So it's not two different things. It's just a quirk of the language that you have to understand. And ultimately, what you need to ask yourself is, does the group want to uphold the gender binary? There are two genders, there are men and there are women, and maybe they think you can transition between the two, which I know not everyone agrees with, but let's just go with that for right now. Maybe they think you can transition and socially live as the other gender if you want, but queer Marxists don't want there to be two genders. They want there to be no genders. That's what non-binary means. So regardless of if they call themselves queer Marxists or transgender Marxists as they are here, it is all queer. It's all part of queer culture. And they've actually changed the wording of queer to make it mean something that people might not think of. So that's the answer there. Before we get into business, guys, if you want to support the work I'm doing and really piss James off, you can head over to my Substack. The Better Discourses Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. You can also get there by going to betterdiscourses.com. And you can find all sorts of resources and clips to explain the far left, things that James Lindsay will never show you. James can say this is a knockoff of his website all he wants, but the fact of the matter is I have a massive archive of video clips on this website. I have a massive archive of articles breaking down the far left, teaching you what they say and do, covering news stories that no one else has covered. You can find all that content over on the Substack if you want to support the work I'm doing. And again, make James really, really angry, you can sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. I would really appreciate it. I'm completely 100% grassroots funded by you. I can't do this without your guys' support. So make sure you sign up over on the Substack. And you can also head over to the Unwoke Art Store, where for a couple more days, we have the two new designs, being Outcast and Fascism is Anti-Communist. These designs are going to be 25% off, which means all the merch with these designs on it is going to be 25% off until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Being Outcast has definitely sold a lot of stuff. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, tank tops, bags, tumblers, glasses, journals, prints, frame prints, all that good stuff. The t-shirts come in a variety of colors, and they're all heathered colors, which look cool. And I can't wait to get mine. And I'm going to get that one right there. I love the gold one. The gold one might be my favorite. We've also got the Fascism design. And this is the 1921 definition of fascist, which means to oppose Bolshevism. You can see I actually also put that one on heathered colors just to make it a little bit more interesting. That one's even got a pink one to match the highlight. So all of that is available over on the Unwoke Art Store, and those are all going to be 25% off, and you can get all sorts of other amazing anti-communist merch over in the merch store. My merch is way better than James's merch. It's awesome. You know, James was telling people the other day that I'm in a cult and I force people to buy merch that they don't really want, but no one has to buy merch they don't want. It's just that my merch is cool and James's isn't. So he can suck an egg, whatever. Anyway, guys, it is Friday. So that means we're going to get a beer. Who wants a beer? Hang on, hang on. So on Friday, our tradition is our Friday happy hour, where I tell you about the 4 beers that I just got from the craft beer store, and you guys get to vote on which beer I drink first. And so we got 4 great selections today. I'm actually really excited about this one. I actually had this one a couple weeks ago. This is called Waffle Cone Confidential, and this is from Reckless Brewing Company. Are they in New Hampshire? Where are you? New Hampshire Brewery. And I actually had this one a couple weeks ago, and it's honestly really good and really refreshing, and so I had to get it again. That is our Waffle Cone Confidential. That is beer option number 1. Beer option number 2 is called Oyster Cult, and it is a blueberry lemonade sour ale, and it is from Rockingham Brewing Company in Derry, New Hampshire. Oyster Cult, blueberry lemonade. That's going to be great. You can't argue with that combination. And then we have, yes, the Golden Trump mug is actually still in the store. You have to search for it, but it is actually still in the store if you would like it. And then we have, and I'm really excited about this. This is called Heavy Air Quotes, and it is a white stout. I love white stouts. Not enough breweries make white stouts. This is from Feathered Friend Brewing in Concord, New Hampshire, and it's got a white stout with coffee and cocoa nibs. So that's going to be option number 3. And then, lastly, Toasted. And you got to know what this is. This is a marshmallow beer, porter with marshmallow, and this is from Blaze Brewing Company in Maine. Had to get it. Marshmallow beers are great. Coconut beers are great. Peanut butter beers are great. That's going to be our marshmallow beer. The poll is in the chat over on YouTube. Let me know which beer you would like me to drink first, and I'm going to hook up our sound to our video. Here we go. I'm so excited for you guys that have never watched this with us before. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a heavy socialism stream, so I just want to say, if you are new to socialism, if you're new to watching socialism with us, I'm not going to be as serious about this as like a Socialism Saturday, but like if you're new, oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to try to do coverage of all the protests that are going on in DC this weekend because, of course, the People's Protest is tomorrow. The People's Protest is the rebranded Women's March, so I'm going to see if we can do live coverage of that. And of course, they're going to be protesting the inauguration. We're going to do full coverage of the inauguration on Sunday. We'll see how all of this impacts Socialism Saturday tomorrow. We'll just have to see. I'm not sure what is actually being covered from the protest tomorrow, so we got to kind of play it by ear. So we'll see. Anyway, if this is your first time or like you're relatively new, okay, let me just ask, is this anyone's first time watching socialism with me? Or is there anyone here that's relatively new to watching socialism with me? Please let us know in the chat. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to play it by ear because I can't even find out who's doing coverage tomorrow. So I'm just not sure. Just make sure you're in the Telegram group, which is t.me/unwokex, and that'll give you a notification. Well, what do you think, Bobby? They changed it from the Women's March to the People's March. Why would they do that? Is there a reason they're not calling it the Women's March anymore? What do you think? They changed it from the Women's March to the People's March. Why would they do that? Yep, because it's going to be more gender inclusive. No genders. Exactly. Exactly. All right, let's see. Last chance to vote on the beer. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm so happy you guys chose the white stout. I'm so excited. Hang on. Let me put these back in my little cooler. Let me put them back. Hang on. Hang on. And I've got my glass, my wine glass. Let's take a look at this. I love white stout so much. Oh, it's a stout, but it looks like a Pilsner. Cheers, everyone. If you are drinking something fun, let us know in the chat. Look at that stout. Beautiful. It's so good. It's so good. It tricks the mind because it's like you don't expect it to taste like coffee, and then it does, and it's so good. All right. If this is your first time watching socialism with me, you might have some questions. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We will answer all questions that are asked in good faith, but please, if you're confused, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't understand the language, you've got to ask us the questions so that we can help you along. That's part of the goal of doing this. This is not just about owning the libs. We watch real leftist content on this channel. TikTok's about to be banned in the United States, so ain't going to be no more libs of TikTok unless Trump revives it. So you got to start watching the real stuff. These are real queer Marxists. These are real anarcho-communists that are trying to disrupt the gender binary, that are trying to abolish the family with the ultimate goal of abolishing capitalism. And we got about 2 hours to watch. So let's get this party started, shall we?
Never ceases to stun me. And how do we pull it off, you might wonder? Well, we pull it off with volunteers, and we need more of them. So if you like to work on future Red Mays, or even on this particular Red May, go to our red site, www.redmayseattle.org. The volunteers are the fun part. The other part is, well, the value form, or money as it's often known. We need money. So go to donate on www.seattle.org. You can give through our link to our GoFundMe, Fan the Flames of Red May, or you can do a Patreon. We have levels at $3, $5, $10, and $20 a month. You can also find this information on donating in the YouTube description. I just want to hip you up for what's coming over the next 5 days. We are now entering definitively our 2-panel-a-day mode. So things are kind of getting...
Red May is a radical revolutionary socialist group in Seattle that hosts programming every May. That they do socialist content all over Seattle, and so they do a lot of online recordings, and that's where this is coming from. And this was in 2021, so this is a little bit old, but that's okay.
Getting tight in terms of what's coming up. At 6 o'clock tonight, we have Thinking with James and Grace Lee Boggs.
Hang on, let me fast forward. We don't need their schedule. We don't need your schedule, Philip. Okay. We just need you to introduce people. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost there. Oh, there's Sophie. Doesn't Sophie look
Marxism,
pretty?
this morning, legacy now, and of course, a Red May alum, to be the moderator this morning. Welcome, Sophie, and welcome everybody to Transgender
Welcome,
Marxism.
Sophie.
I turn the event over to you.
Thank you, Bill. Hi, everyone. It's a great honor to be brought in, however last minute, as the hype man for this extraordinary, launch. I think this is a sort of launch event, isn't it? And I'd like to congratulate the editors of this extraordinary volume. We've got both editors here, as well as some contributors and fellow travelers. I'll introduce Jules and Elle first, and they will speak. And after that, so as not to overwhelm you with a wave of introductions, I'll introduce each in the order. I think Michelle, Nate, and Violet from CAACD in that order. And then I'll be taking questions and hopefully making myself kind of scarce to enable the discussion amongst this extraordinary kind of array of experts to proceed and unfold. So Jules Joanne Gleason is a writer, comedian, and historian. She has published essays in outlets including Viewpoint Magazine, Invert Journal, and Vice, and performed internationally at a wide range of communist and queer cultural events. And Elle O'Rourke is a political economist and gender theorist, currently researching critical theories of financialization. She is co-founder of New Socialist, a magazine of left thought and commentary, where she serves as the economics editor. So over to you two, and congratulations again on Transgender Marxism.
So Transgender Marxism is the name of a book. It's a crazy book. I've read parts of it. I haven't read all of it. It's a book of essays. I believe that this person, Nate, and this person, Violet, both have essays in the book. Jules Joanne Gleason and Elle O'Rourke were the editors of the book. But remember, when they say transgender Marxism, they don't mean trans as in transition from man to woman or woman to man. They mean trans as in transcend or transform, okay? So this is, when they're talking about the book, when they're saying transgender Marxism, that's the actual title of a book.
Yeah, thanks so much. Sophie, thanks, and double thanks for standing in at short notice after Geordie Rosenberg sadly wasn't able to make it today. So this session, I think this is the first of our hype sessions actually to promote the book. So we're hoping to just provide a preview for what you can expect next week when the book is released at all disreputable bookstores. If you can make it to them safely. It's also available for pre-order now on the Pluto Press website. So check that out, and they have free merchandise as well. You can get a transgender pin if you want to get like some commodities with your anti-commodity politics, why not? So today, I think this session is primarily going to be contributors kind of like talking about the essays they provided to the volume. But firstly, myself and Elle are going to talk about what we were trying to do. And I guess we'll kind of start with what we have done. So this book consists of 16 essays, well, the introduction and the afterword, and then 14 kind of original essays, all of which are being published for the first time, at least in print. I think mine was originally put on the Pluto Press website, but the rest of them, it's the first ever publication. So this is like quite a large chunk of text. I think it's 288 pages of transgender Marxism. And so what a collection of this size and kind of scale and scope has allowed us to do is to provide a kind of breadth.
Hey, I just want to do shout out to Leonard. Look at that great picture. Leonard, this picture is like so much more fun. I feel like it's so much more you, bro. Shout out Leonard. Leonard has been here a long time, always shows up, always has a good attitude. We love Leonard.
And I think it's like this appropriate sort of variety of different perspectives which we're hoping is going to help us.
Not that your last picture wasn't fabulous, Leonard. I just like this one more. I don't mean to like crap on your last picture or nothing.
Sort of overcome this existing predicament or plight which transgender people in revolutionary movements often find, which is that we're sort of like relegated to this role where we're like the voices of critique. I think most people who've been in revolutionary movements have surely found, including at say purportedly inclusive feminist events, for instance, we often find that sort of it's our role to introduce this perspective or introduce this role, introduce this like point of view in a way which it's quite rare that any one given trans person is really able to do. So this was sort of the aim with providing a collection which was able to bring together quite so many thinkers. And yeah, so this is sort of tied in with another overarching concern of us as editors, which is we want to sort of like, we want to like include, but also not necessitate this reliance on the confessional style, which is something that both within revolutionary writing and kind of just trans writing more generally has been identified as a problem for a good long while. So this collection does have confessional pieces. I think some pretty remarkable ones, including like The Bridge Between Politics, Between Identity and Organizing by Farah Thomas, and J.N. Hode's Encounters in Lancaster. So like confessional writing is like included, but I think that like this can't really be the limit of transgender theorization. And like our hope is that each essay in this collection is articulating this kind of contribution to a particular topic which each of them is concerned with. And hopefully this is going to provide like a lasting insight rather than kind of like requiring contributors just to sort of report back on their particular identities or areas or life conditions. So the kind of stuff we've got covered in the collection includes themes specific to Marxism, like social reproduction, which Noah and Nat's essays are both, Noah Zazanis and Nat Raha have both provided essays kind of focusing on that. We have like concerns like labor ethnography, transition in the workplace, which Michelle O'Brien is going to read a section of her contribution to, as well as Kate Doyle Griffiths. There are various like other strands of like, there's various other strands of like transgender Marxism, which we've seen a lot of, which we've tried to kind of include in one way or another, like for instance, psychoanalysis and Zandra Metcalf's essay, and also kind of philosophical investigations concerning like epistemology, phenomenology in the case of Zoe Belinsky's piece, and also materialist feminism in the case of Anya Weiser-Flowers. And so like as hopefully this little kind of sketch of an overview is giving you the impression like there's like quite a wide array of different concerns, questions, traditions of revolutionary thought and so on, which are in here. So this kind of brings me to a hopefully illuminating question. So like speaking as one of the editors, like as a collection, like it was a lot of work, it was a lot of labor to put this together in the way that any book is. Like it required a large number of hours to contribute it, but I wouldn't actually say it was especially challenging. Like this was quite an easily possible volume to put together. There were actually like several essays. I think probably, this collection could have been, I think, around 320 pages long, but we sort of along the way had to lose 2 or 3 chapters, which like, I just couldn't make it in there. So like, why was it so easily possible for us to put together something of this kind? And why is it so easy to imagine that like someone could easily come back and do some kind of response piece, like do a transgender Marxism too? So I think there's like 2 sort of key things which are going on here. And one of them is obviously like the expansion of trans culture, which has occurred, I guess, since the so-called tipping point, which is now sort of like hackneyed and old hat reference, seeing as it's a 2014 Times cover, right? Like we seem to be well past that. So at this stage, like clearly trans culture has moved into something resembling a mass rather than a subcultural phenomenon in a way which is quite confusing and confounding and hard to get to grips with, but is clearly something underway. But on the other hand, there's also this ongoing stigmatization, which is at once a holdover from this, from sort of bygone eras. If you look at it demographically, clearly like acceptance of trans identities varies quite wildly across generational lines in most countries. But also there's this kind of new wellspring of reaction. There's like a set of transphobic perspectives which are taking many forms and appear differently in different national contexts. So for instance, you see church-led campaigns against gender ideology appearing, say, in Poland or Brazil, through to this kind of more genteel bigotry that's proliferating among like British state broadcaster outlets like Radio 4 Women's Hour or other kind of like respectable fronts. So like between all of that, there seems to be at once, there seems to be more out trans people and more people interested in revolutionary thought than ever, but also this kind of pressing urgency to grasp and respond to this kind of redevelopment and this reformation of different kind of forms of bigotry and kind of different ways which were being immiserated day in, day out. So this sort of produces a need for a theory and other kind of types of thought besides theory, which permits us to sort of be doubly uncompromising. So doubly uncompromising in neither kind of making a pretense that our particular struggles as trans people are a sideshow or like a distraction or something which run parallel to other revolutionary social thinking. So like refusing this idea that trans identities or trans existences can be placed outside the purview of the properly political, but also not expecting that necessarily our focus can kind of be on our full development.
Hang on, what did she just say? Okay, the properly political. Okay, trans identities and trans existences can be placed outside the properly political.
It's outside the purview of the properly political, but also not expecting that necessarily, our focus can kind of be on our full development of ourselves as trans people, and that's going to, in itself, substantiate a revolutionary breakthrough. In other words, not to see trans politics as either an optional kind of detour or sideshow, or this kind of self-contained totality, which is just like the secession from the cis-normative world, right? So that's
normative
kind of like
world. Trans politics kind of is like, opposite to the normative world.
Gist of the context. I think for getting into why like Marxism in particular has proven such an attractive tradition in thought or set of movements for trans people to sort of involve themselves with, I think Al's probably going to have to like pick up on that. But that's kind of a little overview of what we've put together, and I'm really looking forward to questions and answers, and also hearing talks from the people who we've convinced to submit essays to this collection. Okay, so thanks a lot, and it's very nice to be speaking at Red May.
Okay, so hi there. Thanks for inviting us, and thanks, Sophie, for stepping in right at the last minute. I guess I will be talking a little bit about the Marxism of the transgender Marxism, and Jules has talked about the transgender a bit. So why transgender Marxism? Since the original publication of Capital, debate has raged about how thoroughgoing or adequate Marx's deconstruction of capitalist social forms actually is, sparked by a certain ambivalence in Marx's own project.
Wait, hang on. I mean, they all need Toastmasters, Suzanne. James just made a legendary tweet about Adolf. Okay, hang on. All right, James break. What did James say? Adolf Floyd. Left is planning massive street violence on Monday, it seems. What do you think the woke right will do? I just have to say, I'm really glad that James and Chris Rufo posted this massive analysis of all the far left groups that they've been tracking and not everything in the analysis was correct. And they're all like, hey guys, did you know the far left is protesting the inauguration? I'm just really glad that they're all catching up to the fact that the far left is going to be massively protesting the inauguration. I've only been talking about this for over 2 months. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I consider that legendary. It's just more James being an idiot. Back to business. Oh, hang on. You guys can't hear the sound. Hang on. Yeah, we've known that the far left is good. I mean, I gotta give it. Rufo's analysis was very long. He talked about George Soros funding, which is not correct, but the analysis is very long. Well, let him be committed to it. Let James rant about the woke right every day of his life. I have no problem with it.
Intention was to historicize the social construction of all legal and social categories as matters of property, capital, and class domination. To what extent is Marx's critique also a foreshortened one? How different would Marx's account about the rosy dawn of industrial society be if he made Liverpool rather than Manchester his home in exile, or of his dispatches to the New York Daily Tribune on the convulsions of money markets on Lombard Street? Driven
Sam, you didn't tell me that James tweeted about me. So I was just scrolling down James's page. People are texting James about me. It's never like people, yo, holy shit. Holy shit. People are watching my streams and texting James live updates from my and we know exactly who's doing this. The public record is growing. James, I've been documenting all the bullshit you've been saying for 1.5 years, bro. The public record is growing. Carlin's not going to stop A-logging me. Carlin's going to talk about my public statements. Carlin's going to keep making fun of me. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And then Carlin's going to watch actual queer Marxism for like 3 hours. Can you imagine that bitch? James, you are a public person on the internet with over 500,000 followers, bro. People are allowed to read your public statements. People are allowed to criticize your public statements. People are allowed to watch your videos. People are allowed to disagree with you. People are allowed to make fun of you. People are allowed to say you're full of shit. People are allowed to correctly say that you're misinforming millions of people. And if you insist on lying to people about what the far left is, then we will show videos of the actual far left so that people have the opportunity to have a second opinion. We're allowed to do all this stuff, James. Welcome to the fucking internet. And the more, James, the more you kick and scream, the worse it's going to be, bro. Has he said anything else about me? He literally did. He tweeted again about me. What is this? Look at this. He's having entire text messaging. What the fuck? Yeah, it's still up too. She messed up. I didn't mess up at all. He thinks that I didn't mean to post that. Wait, what? James thinks that I made a mistake by posting that? No, James, I did exactly what I wanted to do because it's funny. It's still up. She messed up. It's more bait to engage me. Not that anyone listens to her. Okay, then why do you... James, if no one listens to me, then why do you keep fucking talking about me? James, we've been posting that image since October. That was a Halloween image, James. Not that anyone listens to her, But to make a record, my psychotic stalker is now claiming she baited me into sharing the psychosis from earlier as bait to own me with sadistic glee. But I can prove O knew her intentions. Does it matter? I'm making a public record. Okay, so this is actually really great news because what James is telling us now, James, this is like the stupidest thing you've done yet. What James is actually telling us now is that every single time I post about James, he's going to post something to make a public record. Do you promise? Do you promise, Jimmy? Do you oh, James wants to hate fuck me so bad. It's not even funny how bad James wants to hate fuck me. James, do you promise every single time I say something about you, you're going to post a tweet in response to me? Do you pinky swear? Really? Okay. It's a bold move, James. Let's see how this works out for you. Let's see how this works out. Did he say anything else? I don't care about Christy Gnome. No, he didn't. Okay, back to queer Marxism now. Back to business. I know that sometimes this isn't as entertaining as watching James's meltdown, but we need to do our work. We can't let James distract us.
Disturbances on the continent were instead dispatches to the Manchester Guardian about the travails of Wall Street driven by tremors on the plantations and slave-dealing markets of America's cotton frontier, or if he had seen the employment of women in industry not as a recent and emasculating phenomena, a general law of capitalist development emerging from the advance of the factory system.
Seriously?
But a more complex...
James, we're fucking trying to work! We've got to stop looking at his Twitter. We have to stop. Hang on. Yo, he tweeted an awesome picture of me! That's a great fucking picture! I look great in that picture. I fucking love it. My makeup looks so smeared and cool. They're making memes about me now? W me again. W me. W me. James is so fucking tweaked. James is gonna this is so fucking great because I have A-log James so much that now he's gonna turn into a seething A-log about me, which gives me all the power in the situation because all I have to do is decide what I want to talk about on any given day, and James is now like psychologically compelled to respond to me. James, do I have you wrapped around my finger? You'll do anything I want, James? Are you serious? You want to play this game? This is going to be fun. All right. Listen, I know we're having fun watching James have an unhinged meltdown and be totally obsessed with me, but we really do need to watch this, okay? I need to rewatch this presentation. It's 2 hours long. Everyone stop paying attention to James. I don't want to hear about it if he's tweeting about me. We need to focus, okay? Because I can't not look at his Twitter if you guys tell me he's tweeting about me. And of course, James has been obsessively tweeting about me for days now. And we really need to work, okay? We can't let James and the land of retardia that is his audience distract us from things that are more important than him.
Complex and long-term trend in Britain's industrial social history where women were present throughout, or if he had seen that the very dynamics driving a thoroughgoing transformation in industry and the world of work were also reshaping the other hidden abode, the private household, in equally dramatic ways, or if he had focused his lens not on the relations within Lancashire's cotton mills, but on the sugar plantations of Europe's tropical colonies. Transgender Marxism proudly sits in a long line of elaborations and novel extensions of Marx's thought, where others might see contradiction or incoherence or illicit distortion. How can there be a transgender Marxism of all things? We see no incongruity at all. So when it comes to debates on identity thinking, identity politics, and their so-called indissolubility with questions of class, we do not recognize accounts of Marxism that suggest Marx is indifferent to the messy sensuousness of human affairs, the reality of social distinctions, and how capital transforms these ascriptive distinctions into a material force. For our part, when we were beginning to write the book, key to our agenda was ensuring that trans life itself comes into focus, clearly into view, rather than a transcendent principle of trans that comes to obscure the particular struggles of trans people.
Transcendent principle of trans. Do you guys hear that?
Was ensuring that trans life itself comes into focus, clearly into view, rather than a transcendent principle.
A transcendent principle
of trans that comes to obscure the particular struggles of trans people in the face of capitalism. Trans people already occupy
the particular struggles of trans people in the face of capitalism.
Struggles of trans people in the face of capitalism.
There's our first capitalism mention.
Trans people already occupy a very awkward space in social theory and Marxist politics as well. So the main currents of Marxist feminism have largely done a disservice to trans identities, often gesturing towards trans people and proceeding to write the sort of feminist theorizing that they wish to write anyway. Or to take a recent example, Silvia Federici's recent book were placed alongside plastic surgery and surrogacy as examples of fiendish calculated body modification practices that go too far. So when not actively vilified or included as a polite footnote, many assume an interest in trans people thanks to our marginalization, as we are more likely to experience poverty, destitution, engage in sex work, experience abuse and mistreatment by wider society, the police, the criminal justice system. We tend to be more radical than general population and thus a special source of interest. In particular, because we occupy a liminal and ambiguous space in the gender order, we are taken to embody or at least provoke a space of subversion and rebellion, one that can perhaps shake existing society out of its complacency.
So trans folks occupy a space that can shake existing society out of its complacency. This is where they're talking about using queer or trans, as they're going to say, as attacks on normativity.
Sex and gender, so a gender vanguardism of sorts. The upshot is that trans people are a special source of recruits.
Do you guys remember in that queer punk documentary we watched the other day, they were talking about being vanguards? Gender vanguardism is what she just said.
Fashionable cause to follow, and sotto voce bearers of a special responsibility. So as an account of trans life, this is precisely negative. We are of note due to our suffering, stigmatization, and our travails, and little else, little experiences, little spaces left for the actual substance of trans life, the experience of surviving in the context of separation that we already share among ourselves, and the resultant insights for a broader and refreshed view of capitalist reproduction.
Capitalist reproduction.
But this is hardly an unprecedented theoretical maneuver when it comes to trans issues. Emma Heaney, in her book The New Woman, has shown that throughout modern history, trans women find themselves and their experiences represented always as an allegory for something else. Rather than being treated on their own terms, trans women often serve as the theoretical raw material to ground the universality of cis experience. Heaney traces this through the late 19th century and 20th century representations of trans femininity, modernist literature, sexology, and social theory. Literary modernism is replete with examples of trans women as metaphorical figures for the destabilization of inherited gender traditions, stand-ins for broader destabilizations brought about by urbanization, suffrage, and women entering new roles in the workforce, and with it attendant anxieties over masculine self-assurance and patriarchal right. In other accounts, transgender experiences serve as an example of the dizzying achievements of techno-scientific modernity and seemingly demonstrates the boundless plasticity of the human bodies and their potential. Or in Freud's hands, we appear as a degraded figure who is nevertheless a critical allegory for the unconscious that clarifies his theory of same-sex desire as inversion, castration anxiety. Here, feminization stands as a looming threat of egoic injury, clarifying the operation and universality of cis sex. So we can see echoes and wary repetitions of these framings in our own times, with transgender as a synecdoche for gender trouble writ large. From far-right fantasists dreaming of a surging wave of effeminacy sweeping all in its wake to the condescending patronage of well-meaning do-gooders, predatory psychiatrists demonizing transgenders' desires with taxonomies that they would never accept applied to themselves, to sensationalist publishers looking for a quick cash grab, with lurid tales of gender deviance, indecency, and criminality. Phobic Lacanian psychoanalysis casting transition as literally a psychotic desire, to the tenured yet tedious queer theory scrambling to offer a novel articulation of stale and familiar territory. Trans people are frequently ushered onto the stage of theory for a grander purpose than themselves, only to be quickly dismissed in turn, purpose served, premises intact. So this is a dispiriting state of affairs, and we wanted to break away from this usual way of approaching the matter, a more thoroughgoing account of trans life as it is lived from the inside, and not merely as a supplement to or afterthought to somebody else's theoretical story. And I think there is often a real felt need by many trans people for writing that counters these sort of...
Hang on. My computer's being crazy. Hang on. Apologies. Hang on. I had something sitting on the mouse pad on my laptop. It screwed everything up.
Entrenched ideas for understanding trans life that speaks to them and their conditions, that is written by them and expresses what they know intimately to be true, yet frequently discounted. And for many trans people, that quite naturally means writing in a Marxist register.
No. We're not doing this bullshit. There is, I don't have any evidence to support this. And oftentimes when I see cluster B stuff mentioned, it's just to demonize people who you disagree with. So unless you have actual evidence that this is directly related to what we're talking about, keep it to yourself. This is a far left political ideology. That is what queer is. Queer is not about, they're all cluster B narcissists. That is a fucking retarded conservative take. That is a take that conservatives make when they're trying to own the libs and feel morally superior. These are people who are the farthest left radical revolutionaries in the country. They have fundamentally different values than you do. The reason that we listen to them is to understand their values. If people keep saying, they're all just mentally ill, well, guess what? We're all losing to these people. So what do you think? Like, if we're losing to mentally ill people, what does that say about you? No! You must be new here. Do you know what the definition of normativity means? They want to be rejected by society. These are anti-assimilationists. It's not only that they anticipate being rejected, they don't want to be accepted by society. Their whole goal is to tear down normativity. Normativity means norms that uphold capitalism. So no, this is not about mental illness. We are not, retarded conservative takes are not allowed here. We hinge into reality here. Visibility challenges normativity. It looks like cluster B, but it isn't mental illness. They are doing it on purpose to destabilize society. So you're going to give them what they want. Congratulations. You just let them win. A great plan. Great fucking plan. You're giving them what they want. Great fucking plan. P.S. They're winning. You're losing.
So when assembling the collection, we were keen to express the point that we don't really think there is one authoritative approach to Marx and his legacy, and nor have we sought to impose one. Marxism is a broad and living tradition defined by its continual internal dispensations, its vying schools and contested orthodoxies, and this is reflected in the collection itself. Different chapters find their inspiration in a different facet of Marx's practice, from Marx, the proto-sociologist with a voracious appetite for empirical research huddled over a table in the British Library, to Marx, the philosopher versed in the history of thought from Epicurus to Aristotle, who sought to apprehend in thought the tangled relations of modernity, capitalism, colonialism, and the arrival of mass politics, or Marx, the propagandist, a dedicated organizer, doggedly focusing on questions of autonomous workers' power. The collection reflects this diverse heterogeneity of approaches, traditions, and problematics, the broad appeal of different moments of Marx's and aspects of Marx's work to a variety of audiences, from investigations in cosmic value form rationalism and gender as a real abstraction to gay communist Lacanian psychoanalysis, the immanent critique of psychological research, to the consonance of Marx and disability studies, Brazilian transfeminism, Black transfeminism, sociological work as inquiry, Marxian Deleuzian analysis, and Marxist epistemological inquiry, each a different angle on transgender life, each a different angle on Marx's work, each a different approach to a thoroughgoing transgender Marxism. And I guess we would like to hand over to some of our contributors so they can express more. And
Wonderful. That already answered all three of the questions I had jotted down to ask you afterwards. So that was yeah, very rich. Thank you. So our first speaker from the essay collection is Michelle Esther O'Brien, who is a practicing psychotherapist in New York. She received her PhD from the Department of Sociology at NYU.
Listen, I'm just going to say this. James is pissed off that I'm A-logging him. Sophie and Emmy O'Brien should be way more pissed off at me than James is. I've literally been A-logging Sophie and Emmy O'Brien like for years. For years. I made Sophie my non-consensual internet girlfriend. Like, Sophie should have way more of an issue with me than James. We gave Sophie the nickname the Ginger Dragon. I have showed Sophie's boobs on my live stream because she posted them on Instagram. Sophie's not having a massive hissy fit meltdown, James. Emmy O'Brien isn't having a massive hissy fit meltdown.
Her dissertation focused on how capitalism shapes LGBTQ organizing in New York City. Michelle is also a co-editor of Pinko, and her writing has appeared in Social Movement Studies, Work, Employment and Society, Commune, Homintern, Endnotes, and Invert. She is currently studying psychoanalytic practice at the Institute for Psychoanalytic Training and Research. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Sophie. So my piece was called Trans Work, and it's a piece of labor sociology. I drew from the New York City Trans Oral History Project that I worked with closely, and in particular 4 people that I had interviewed. I used their real names, but their first names to make them slightly less Googleable. And the heart of the essay is sort of 3 employment trajectories that actually reflected much broader patterns that we've observed in the world in trans life. A Naomi, who's a game designer and software developer, Nico, who works in retail, sex toy retail, and was involved in the unionization campaign at the Pleasure Chest, and Paris, who's a sex worker and then got into working in HIV and AIDS services. So that's the heart of the essay, and I'm not going to read that, but I'm going to read the introduction and conclusion, where I sort of frame the piece and make some slightly broader conclusions from it. Trans work. Carolyn grew up in a difficult working class Irish American family in Brooklyn in the 1970s. Years before she came out as a woman, Carolyn's gender dysphoria led her to make some difficult choices about how to present her gender. In 1986, she graduated from high school and had been growing her hair to chest length for 2 years. She refused to cut her hair for reasons not fully evident to her. Quote, "My gender dysphoria, I didn't think of it that way back then. I could not cut my hair. I could not mentally do that." Her long hair was extremely disruptive to how others experienced her as otherwise presenting as a young man. People were daily hostile and threatening to Carolyn. She recounts, "From a work perspective, I was completely unemployable. Before listing a series of working class positions she was offered contingent on her cutting her hair. Instead, she turned to substantial and chaotic drug use and dived into the 1980s metal scene of Brooklyn, where long hair was socially acceptable. She cobbled together precarious and temporary jobs from scattered family members. After spending the 1990s in anarchist organizing, Carolyn eventually found work as an out trans woman at a Manhattan sex toy shop called Babeland. Babeland was lesbian-owned, marketed itself as feminist and pro-queer store where sex non-eligible staff could answer difficult questions, and hiring a trans woman woman felt fit broadly with the owner's self-conception. At the time, it was one of the only formal wage labor jobs where Carolyn could be out as trans. Long after she left Babeland, the staff there unionized, led in part by many of the trans people on staff who were particularly furious over the gender harassment they suffered on the job. Today, Carolyn teaches others how to rock climb and lives in the Hudson Valley, north of New York City. In Carolyn's story, we see broader themes that face trans people around work. Trans people have a hard time finding work, usually get treated poorly in most of our jobs, and end up poor. Carolyn, like many trans people, felt a deep and strong commitment to express her gender.
So just in case this isn't clear to people, so they're talking about work, and so what they're talking about is that trans people, queer people are inherently oppressed by the capitalist system, and that's why they can't find quote unquote work, although I question whether or not that's actually true. You're telling me that someone with long hair are going to get hired in the 80s. I don't believe that for one red second, but that's how they see the world, so that's what we care about. We don't care about debunking them. We care about how they see the world. So what they're saying is that trans people and queer people are inherently oppressed by capitalism because the capitalist system is designed to keep them down and keep them, in poverty and all that stuff. Systemic transphobia, exactly.
Even in the initial steps of growing her hair long. This gendered choice sharply constrained your employability, contributing to a period of drug use and social marginality. Even as she regained stability in her life, Carolyn's employment options were sharply limited. The retail job she was able to find was accessible because of subtle gendered expectations that enabled trans people to eventually gain an employment niche there, where they were able to wage a collective struggle as trans workers. And now these are the last two sections. Gender discipline in the labor process. The experience—
Oh my fucking god! Are you serious? Captain, I asked you not to tell me that James was tweeting about me. All right, let's go back to James's Twitter feed for more breaking news updates. Reagan, you knew about this too? I didn't want you to stop the stream again, but you triggered James bad. Wait, uh-oh. Is this about to be the greatest thing that's ever happened? My deranged stalker, I'm told, is streaming now. Yup, and insisting I want to. I knew that would get him. Oh, I'm dying. This is so fucking funny. I win. I win. Oh, he took the bait so bad. Oh god, I'm dying. Oh my god, my stomach hurts. Oh my god. I'm hyperventilating. This is— oh shit. My slime just fell down. I knocked my slime off my desk. Oh, James. Oh, Jimmy, Jim. Oh, James. Let me be crystal clear. I'd rather join ISIS and fuck a goat than have sex with this person. Hey, here's what we need to do. Everyone, go and report James for targeted harassment, please. We are gonna mass report the shit out of James. because that would be fucking funny. Everyone go report James for targeted harassment. I'm gonna be like, I don't know, Jimmy. This kind of seems like you've got. Here's what. Wait. I've got this. I know exactly what I'm gonna post. I've got it. Wait. You guys are gonna love this. Wait for it. Wait. Breaking news, James says he wants to fuck a goat. Breaking news. James Lindsay says he wants to fuck a goat. Oh God. I'm sorry, this is just so fucking funny. I knew that would get him too. I just didn't think it would get him while I was literally on the stream. Took the bait again, Jimmy. You took it again. And you will take all future bait. And we know you'll take all future bait, James, because you're completely tweaked about me. I'm living in your head. Actually, hang on a sec. Hang on. We gotta do that again. I am living in your head rent-free, James. Yeah, this is the best moment of 2025 so far. Thank you, James, for your service. We have to get back to work now.
Of trans people in work has much to offer in how we understand gender freedom and gender oppression in the lives of working class people. Trans people have so much trouble finding work because work itself imposes gendered expectations on everyone. Trans people's experience of work, not being able to find it, getting a foothold in only a handful of industries, being subject to harassment and the risk of violence on the job, makes it clear that all working class people are subject in their jobs to forms of gender discipline. For the many people forced to try to get by on wage labor, criminalized informal employment, the experience of work is central to our day-to-day quality of life and well-being. Working class insurgent movements have long documented the many horrors and abuses of so much work: unsafe working conditions and risk of death, abusive and cruel bosses, crushing boredom or desperate competition, or just the despair of being subject to a process antagonistic to our humanity. Gender discipline is an underappreciated and major dimension to this daily misery for proletarians. All work imposes some varying forms of expectations for gender expression and gendered behavior. Gender takes many forms in the labor process. Masculine toughness expected in the face of the dangers in many industrial manufacturing jobs, the gracious, feminizing, and racialized subservience expected by service staff, the highly gendered professional dress codes of white-collar employment, the pervasiveness of sexual harassment and sexual coercion in many industries, or the maternal activities of teaching, nursing, and childcare. The almost complete power of employers over hiring and firing, particularly in at-will employment in the United States or zero-hour contracts in Europe, where employers can fire a non-unionized employee without reason, allows employers to impose any arbitrary bigotry without apology. For the majority of American workers without access to a union or collective bargaining agreement, there are few mechanisms for contesting employer power besides high-risk, criminalized, disruptive protest. Further, employers expect and impose these gendered expectations as how they observe and define competence on the job. Behaviors that fall outside of gendered expectations of behavior not only violate an employer's homophobia or misogyny, but also their understanding of what the work requires. Under the tyranny of employers, all workers face day-to-day gendered expectations that constrain how we are able to embody and express our genders. The room available for working people to explore and experiment with our genders, and the opportunity for trans people to transition or find employment in the first place. Like many people's experience of the family, employment is an institution of gender violence and gender coercion. Gender freedom and the future of trans work struggles. The many forms of how trans people wage class struggle have much to offer a broader vision of gender freedom against capitalist society. For trans people
Gender
in tech,
freedom against
like
capitalist
Naomi,
society.
we see this class struggle and the strong solidarity between cis queer women and trans women in their battling against gender fascists and Gamergate, or against institutionally sanctioned misogynistic sexual harassment at Google. For trans workers in sexualized low-wage service retail like at Babeland, this class struggle can take the form of fighting for unions that place gender safety, right to gender expression, and trans leadership as central concerns. For the trans people excluded from employment, mostly poor trans women of color, we see collective action in sex worker organizing, in the highly organized systems of mutual aid in the ball scenes, in the dense social networks through which people survive and support each other.
That's
for
interesting.
trans social
Hang on.
movements broadly.
That's interesting. So Emmy O'Brien is saying the ballroom scene, which is like a trans thing, that's a source of mutual aid, and that actually makes sense. Okay.
Many of the major policy battles of recent years include a substantial attention to the conditions of unemployment and hardship with work faced by trans people, in opposing sex worker criminalization, in fighting to ban open discrimination against employers on the basis of gender expression, in calling on LGBTQ service and advocacy organizations to employ more trans people and treat the trans people they employ well. As trans people make headway in these struggles over access to work and transforming the gender expectations of work, this opens on to a potentially broad struggle of working class people over rights to self-determine one's body, to express one's dignity and joy, to find pleasure and love with each other. Even the struggles of trans sex workers open on to broader questions of how unwaged and unhoused people survive, against mass incarceration and criminalization, against coercive social service regimes, for the need to forge non-work.
No, you probably heard a reference to the other Naomi Klein. I'm betting.
Strategies of getting by.
Maybe.
Trans
Maybe I'm wrong.
people fighting for dignity in formal employment, the right to survive outside of work, is the leading edge for working class people to discover the power and pleasure in refusing the gender expectations imposed on everyone. Trans work struggles and what they offer to the broader gender freedom of the working class breaks open the relationship between identity, liberation, and class struggle. Rather than identity politics being arbitrarily opposed, in trans work struggles, they are inseparable. In trans work fights, we see the possibility of a deeper and fuller freedom than further subjugation to work. Dependency on labor markets constrains the ability of all working class people to fully express one's potential, self-development, and self-expression in the world. Gender is central to the fundamental means of humans to fulfill ourselves, to find our creativity and our dignity, to express beauty, and to experience pleasure. Trans people, whatever the limits of or costs, show a remarkable and rare commitment to courageously following non-conforming yet fulfilling.
You had to do that, didn't you? You just had to do that, Kino.
self-expression.
Everyone listen.
Hence, trans people waging struggles for economic
We're gonna
survival
have to rewatch this
offer a
whole thing
means
again.
of imagining a class politics that pursues the potential for full human development. Thank you.
Basically, now we're just killing time between all the tweets that James sends about me. We're like listening to a little bit of Marxism, and then we get a James update, and then a little bit of Marxism, and then a James update. We're just hanging out, man. We're just hanging out on Friday. No big deal.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Wonderful. Next up, Nathaniel Dixon is a transgender communist teacher and doctoral candidate in the SUNY State University of New York at Buffalo English Department. They are interested in radical and speculative literature, science, and environmental writing, and race and gender. They mostly write about pedagogy, alienation, and the places where the political and the aesthetic meet. Over to you, Nate.
Thank you, Sophie. I had a minor existential crisis trying to write a bio because I hadn't done it in so long. Good morning or afternoon or evening to all of you, depending on where you are today. I'm going to actually, following Michelle, I think I will just read a little bit from the beginning and try to give a little context, then maybe reflect a little bit on what I was trying to do with this essay. Essentially, it's sort of just a bit of comparing commodity fetishism with some of the really harmful narratives that we have about gender and what it is and where it comes from, and just going from there. So I start by Marx quote, right? A commodity, I love this quote, is a mysterious thing simply because it is in the social character of men's labor appears to them as an objective character stamped upon the product of that labor, because the relation of the producers to the sum total of their own labor is presented to them as a social relation existing not between themselves, but between the products of their labor. Commodities then are like, they're imbued with a mythical relationship to one another that bears no trace of the labor of human beings. In just the same way, gender is imagined as having an explanation that bears no trace of human effort. Our efforts, it seems, can only verify a truth that stands outside of history. Tools are not used to make gender, but to reflect it. The ultrasound and the DNA tests discover what we already know was there. As trans people, we threaten this apparent effortlessness. If gender is not easily revealed by the apparition on an ultrasound screen or the spit in a tube, but instead laboriously produced, then the certainty of the whole narrative comes into question. The work that goes into the production of gender becomes embarrassingly visible.
Yeah,
and
James has successfully fucked up our entire queer Marxist stream, because now all we can think about is James talking about fucking a goat. You're all welcome. I don't know why I have this innate talent of triggering people to like the core of their being, but this is obviously a gift I have been given by God to use for a purpose. And okay, we're focusing though.
this labor becomes reapplied to creating the tools and interpretations necessary to describe, deny, or otherwise contain transness.
Yes,
what mysterious object hides within transgender people that might explain away our difference without creating too many plot holes? Revelation becomes excavation, not wholly, but an exhausting gymnastics of selective attention. And so I suppose what I was thinking about, I was thinking about the book's title, and I figured I'd better come up with something about how people come by their genders and how they come by their Marxism. And somewhere in there, I noticed sort of the role that pedagogy plays in it. And I've been an adjunct for a really long time now, so I think about a lot of things through teaching. And I think that it's relevant to these problems because it's an intentional and social activity that's focused on understanding and generating knowledge. And I think it's very basic to being human. When I was rereading this and trying to remember what my pre-pandemic brain was thinking when I wrote it, I was surprised that I didn't mention anything about Paulo Freire in there. Would have fit.
Paulo Freire! Oh, I don't think I noticed that last time. Kino says, screw your stream, Carlin, it's goat time. I know, the best laid plans, right? I'm like, we're going to be productive today. And James is like, no, we're not going to be productive. I'm going to talk about fucking a goat on Twitter and joining ISIS, which apparently is less offensive than fucking a goat. Thanks, Kino. Appreciate it. Paolo Fieri, let's see.
Probably thinking about the banking model of education, right? You put the deposit into the empty brain, poor students, and as opposed to critical pedagogy, which is this more relational way of thinking about teaching. And I was thinking about the shape we get with the banking model, the kind of passivity and surrender it calls for,
Yep.
The state that makes people.
I think that's a good idea. I think you should work on that. We will put it on a t-shirt or something. Thank you, bot, for your service. What the fuck was he thinking tweeting that? Now we have to find a video about a goat. Yeah, the best laid goats. Well, at least he has goals. Oh shit! Oh shit! But on your design of James hanging out with a goat, can you put critical goat theory on it, please? But can you base it off of that episode of Black Mirror where the Prime Minister fucks a pig? And then put critical... James did it to himself. This is not our fault. Yeah. We need to stop. We need I broke Jane. Oh god. My stomach hurts so bad. Oh. Okay, what video did you send me, Kino? Hey, let's okay. Oh, shit. We didn't even get to Violet. Where did you send me a video, Kino? I don't see it anywhere. Anyway. We need to listen to the video. No, I don't see it in my Twitter, Kino, so I don't know where you send it, but you didn't send it to my Twitter. Oh, you tagged me. Okay, hang on. Wait. You guys gotta see what Misakan did. Hang on. Hang on, I gotta get into my Twitter. I have to go in a different browser. Oh, shit. Hang on. I gotta get on a different browser. I gotta make sure you guys can't see anything you're not supposed to see. Hang on, take a second to load. Oh my god. This always takes so long to load when I'm streaming because the stream takes up all of the energy of the room. Okay, hang on. Let me show you what Misakan did. And Kino, we'll look at your video real quick too, but... Misakan's got this ongoing Gnostic sex cult image, and now there's a fucking goat in the middle of it. And it's not loading when I click on it because everything slows down when I'm streaming. Oh, bot, you posted the picture. Did you post it on the timeline? Yep, that's It's really great work, guys. Really great work. We are serious people. We are doing serious analysis about the left. We are very serious people here that are doing serious analysis. Are there more James? Is James still tweeting about me? This is not my fault. James did it to himself. This is not my fault. All right, Kino, what did you do? Did anyone else post anything on Twitter? Oh, I can't watch that on the stream. I can't watch this because it's copyrighted. Thank you, though, Kino. Thank you for your service. Is James still tweeting about me? Hang on. Let's go back over to James. Hang on. Let's. What clip did James post? Hey! Here's what we need to do. Everyone, go mass report. Everyone, go and report James for targeted harassment, please. Yes, James. We are going to report your tweet for targeted harassment, James. You want to know why? Because you have 500,000 followers on Twitter, and you've been trying to get people banned and deplatformed for months. So if we, James, this is just a fun tidbit, bro. You can't report me for targeted harassment if all I'm doing is reposting your public statements. But when you're making comments like you're making because you're on an unhinged fucking rant, because, James, I'm so fucking far in your head that it's not even funny, and you say stuff on Twitter that we can mass report you for because it's legitimately against the Twitter terms of service, get ready, bro. We are going to mass report you. And if you don't like it, then maybe be a little bit more judicious. I know, James. James, I know you're triggered. I know you're triggered, James. I did that. I did it. I know you're triggered. But if you don't want to be mass reported, then maybe don't post shit like that on Twitter. But we've already moved on to making fun of you for the goat comment, bro. So I don't even know what you're complaining about. We are going to mass report the shit out of James. Because that would be fucking funny. Everyone. Hey, here's what. James, all I'm doing is reposting your public statements, bro. And we've already. Good luck, James, trying to get me banned for something that I didn't actually say on Twitter. Also, I'm 357 pounds. That's news to me. Last time I checked, my weight started with a 1, not a 3. But hey, Frank. Psycho Frank gone off his medication. Whatever. He's a loser. He is a loser. All right. Back to our show. James is already creating his next post about me. Yeah, request community notes that he can't complain about his own. Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Frank would absolutely fuck a goat if we're honest about it. He would absolutely fuck a goat, 100%. All right, focus.
Well, I think particularly vulnerable to cult indoctrination is what I think of. You come empty and you're ready to be filled up with knowledge, and the knowledge is revelatory. It's just waiting out there, like, human nature in air quotes or gender in air quotes. Yeah. And everything that is concrete in that way of learning becomes distant and unapproachable. You're just a container for somebody else's ideas. And those ideas were not created. They were just yanked out of the fabric of reality. Basically, you can't change them. You can only discover them. So then you memorize them with about as much nuance and dedication as you spend reading like terms of service for something that you click on the internet. And I don't think that's a very promising way to organize knowledge. I think a large part of the trick to teaching is helping people to realize the enormity of what human beings create and getting them to put down things like the phrase "since the beginning of time," the sense that like material is just eternal. It's really easy to mistake material things for eternal things with the ways that we teach and learn. And that's a problem for trans people and for everybody, because for most people, the eternal feels unchangeable and alienating, and it's something you can come to terms with, or you can revere it, or maybe you could reform it, but you cannot transform it, right? Without access to the constructedness of things, we're left without agency and without a lot of possibilities. And it's complicated because there's a whole lot of trauma to swim through to get people to think about the constructedness of things when so many of those constructed things hurt them.
Okay.
And since learning happens in interaction, there's also the pain of dissonance when you look at something and you try to name it, and there are laws.
Pause. They're talking about how capitalism socially constructs all these categories, and that they need to wake people up to the fact that these things are constructed. They're not real. They're saying that they're not real.
Eternal things with the ways that we teach and learn. And that's a problem for trans people and for everybody, because for most people, the eternal feels unchangeable and alienating, and it's something you can come to terms with, or you can revere it, or maybe you could reform it, but you cannot transform it, right? Without access to the construct.
You can reform it, but you can't transform it. So they're saying that when categories feel like they've just been around forever and they just are the way they are, people are going to make the assumption that you can't, excuse me, I'm laughing too hard, I'm losing my voice. People are going to make the assumption that you can't transform those categories. That's what they mean when they say transgender in this context. They want to transform gender. They want to go beyond the socially constructed categories of gender that have been created by capitalism. I know we're all having fun laughing at James, but please let me know if that makes sense or if it doesn't make sense and I need to explain. Because, to be serious, guys, I do actually want to listen to this again. Like, this has been on my list for a while, and we need to actually listen. And I know it's been a little bit boring in the first half. I get that. But Violet is coming up, and Violet is going to be mind-blowing, and it's going to be awesome. And I need to listen to this again. So we need to... James... God damn it! Every time I beg to not be... James is trying to destroy my happy hour stream! Why does James have to be such a psycho? Destroying my happy hour stream. Why? All I wanted was to watch queer Marxism, and James is like, no. Yeah, it seems to be a clear violation. All right, good luck. Oh my god. This woman is legitimately psychotic. Whatever. Did he actually reply? He ignored... Okay. There was... Angling to have sex... James, can you please post receipts of me angling to have sex with you? Can you please post any evidence at all, James, of me angling to have sex with you? Because, James, as a reminder, Jim, I can go through every single one of our DMs and show people that there was never any angling to have sex with you. In fact, I've already done it on a fucking live stream, bro. Oh, Colin Wright arguing for me to be banned. So you guys are arguing for a ban of something that happened off platform. Seems very classical liberal to me. Good luck, assholes. Good luck. Good luck. But James, I would really like receipts for this. James, do I need to go back through every single DM that you and I have ever had to show that there was literally no flirtation? Because I don't want to fuck you. Because you're not my type. At all. In any way. And the worst thing I ever did was make a joke about you having a giant sword. And that's it. And then we all moved on with life. Except you didn't move on with life, James. You didn't fucking move on with life. Yeah, he's literally just trying to waste our time. Wait, is James in my replies? Is he in my replies now? Has he gone that fucking crazy? You guys are paying more attention than I am. But da 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 da. Oh, he is! Holy shit! A few years ago, someone else she was harassing leaked her DMs explaining she wanted to have sex with me. No, James. No. He leaked a joke. He leaked a joke that he took out of context to make it look like something it wasn't. I never tried to have sex with you, James. That was a lie that you told while you were forcing your wife to be in an open fucking relationship she didn't want to be in so that you could bang all the moms for liberty. So please, James, continue with this charade and eventually we'll end up in court and the judge will ask you for evidence that I ever tried to seduce you and I will be able to hand over our entire communication history and say, there's no evidence that I ever came on to him sexually. There's literally zero evidence, James, that I ever said or did anything sexual related to you. There is no evidence, James. And you know it, and I know it, because if that evidence existed, you would have already posted it, motherfucker. But keep crying. Keep crying. Carlin made a joke in the DMs 3 fucking years ago. Meh. Keep crying, asshole. And then she went bonkers, and this has been going on ever since. Okay, James. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely the one that's gone bonkers, James. Yeah, totally, bro. Totally. James, between the two of us, I'm not the one that forced my spouse into an open marriage they didn't want to be in. You know, I mean, listen, man. Listen. James is coming so unhinged, you have to wonder what's going on at home. Because happy people don't behave this way. Certainly, I've had my unhinged moments in the past. Certainly, that's true. But I think there's more going on here than we know about, and I think it probably has to do with James's wife being pissed off at him. I'm just speculating, I could be wrong. But James is an unhinged retard right now, and we can't let him distract us because I want to watch this fucking presentation, okay? Can we just watch Queer Marxism? Can we just do that? Can you guys just do this for me? I literally just want to watch this presentation. Yeah, hopefully James's wife cheats on him with a black guy. Exactly.
Of things, we're left without agency and without a lot of possibilities.
God!
And it's complicated because there's a whole lot of trauma to swim through to get people to think about the constructiveness of things when so many of those constructive things hurt them. And since learning happens in interaction, there's also the pain of dissonance when you look at something and you try to name it, and there are laws and institutions and other people often violently fighting you and robbing you of your ability to name even yourself. Right? So I guess I was thinking about how we get to a relationship to knowledge that gives us access to this constructiveness of things. And as you might imagine, I did not memorize it. It was not deposited in my brain. I figured it out through living relationships through reading and talking, actually, a lot of the people who are here and the contributors and editors who I have like measurable debt to in terms of what my brain is now versus what it was like 5 years ago. And much of it through the process of gender transition and what Noah, who isn't here with us today, but is great, talks about the resocialization process that goes on in transgender communities and all of the ways that that met up with my other experiences, especially the experience of being poor. I figured it out by naming myself while doing an incredible amount of work to produce the reality of that name, from emails to payments to research to courts, documents to going to the DMV. And I still have not figured out what to do with the credit bureaus. I have 2 credit files. My old one has all my student loans, so I might just leave it like that. I had to take a random guy with me, like the OBGYN, to notarize a document so I could change the facts surrounding my own birth, which is kind of wild, right? You have to remap your entire relationship. It's very estranging in this way, your whole relationship to the world against a host of very real and also very constructed things that are telling you that you are impossible. Existing as an impossible person makes it a lot easier to imagine the possibility that the world could be different. You can build what's needed to name yourself against these kind of daunting mechanisms for control and against sometimes incredible violence. And understanding the vitality of that is a part of understanding the best creative potential of our species. The connectedness of our labor and our cognition and our world. People get worried that we'll go off some like post-structuralist deep end, I think, and just get lost in the play of terms, right? That's kind of the kind of difference that transients represent evokes that fear. And I think is why we frequently get targeted when people want to complain about identity politics in relationship to other forms of political activity. But our lives are material, as our editors were talking about a little earlier. And we're incredibly involved in producing our own social reality, what we believe, and especially what we believe about what is possible and what is knowable and what is changeable, play a profound role in sustaining or in defeating capitalism. And I think the types of thinking required.
Again.
Post-structuralist deep end, I think, and just get lost in the play of terms, right? That's kind of the kind of difference that transients represent evokes that fear. And I think is why we frequently get targeted when people want to complain about identity politics in relationship to other forms of political activity. But our lives are material, as our editors were talking about a little earlier. And we're incredibly involved in producing our own social reality, what we believe, and especially what we believe about what is possible and what is knowable and what is changeable, play a profound role in sustaining or in defeating capitalism. And I think the types of thinking required to navigate legal and scientific and interpersonal discourses that are chaotic and conflicting and nonsensical and present themselves as wholly and fixed and unchangeable, those types of thinking are resilient and contagious in the best possible way. And rather than being a side quest or a threat to solidarity, I think that they are critical to building a world worth living in, where we could find out what people could make and what they could be when they're not squeezed between their boss and their rent, and also so yeah, I think that's it.
Wonderful. And finally, we have Violet from the CAA-CD, which is an association for anarchic, queer, and communist friendships based in India. The CAA-CD says, we aim to build an ethics of queerness rooted in fugitivity and flight, care and war. Towards that end, we seek to foment a, quote, diffused irrationality, unquote, that spreads through every crack and fissure of society, amplifies the lines of flight, and brings together ungovernable and undeniably queer forms of life. The piece by CAA-CD in the collection, A Deleuzian Conversation on Gender, was co-written as a dialogue. Over to you, Violet. You're muted, Violet.
Everyone get ready for the best thing that's going to happen all day. Besides
thank you so much, Sophie, for the introduction. So I just want to thank Jules and Ellie, and without Jules's encouragement and help, our conversational piece wouldn't have made it into the book. So I'd just like to thank her again. As for our piece, which is called...
This is Violet. Violet is a queer Marxist. With autism, obviously.
There is in conversation on gender, I feel like there were three things we primarily wanted to do. The first, through the casual and conversational tone of our piece, we wanted to challenge the notion that theoretical ideas only have their space within the walls of the university. We also wanted to challenge the notion that discussing theory had to be somehow the stifling experience meant for specialists and couldn't simply be a spontaneous conversation between friends as they relate their everyday lives to one another. In this, we followed the lead of Fred Moten and Stefano Harney. In an interview from 2012, Fred Moten described his and Harney's concept of study as, when I think about the way we were using the term study, I think we were committed to the idea that study is what you do with other people. It's talking and walking around with other people, working, dancing, suffering, some irreducible convergence of all three held under the name of speculative practice. And he adds, the point of calling it study is to mark that the incessant and irreversible intellectuality of these activities were already there. In our opinion, intellectual discussions and debates do not have to be confined to the university, but can be a part of the fabric of our everyday lives. And what we sought to do through this is also recover the forgotten memory and practice of a proletarian autodidacticism, a mode of sharing knowledge among the lower classes. After all, Marx's Capital was not meant to be read by academics, but was meant to be a political weapon in the hands of the 19th century proletariat. Which brings me to the second thing that we wanted to do. A prevalent idea among both transphobes and certain liberal narratives of transsubjectivity focus on how being trans is all about the erasure of the body. I refer here, of course, to the by now infamous born in the wrong body narrative. Many have pointed out the pitfalls of such arguments, but reprising the discussion about the merits of such arguments is beyond the scope of our piece. What we wanted to do instead was flip the script altogether. Instead of saying that transsubjectivity was rooted in a desire to do away with one's body, we wanted to suggest the inverse, that dysphoria is nothing but the howl of the body's anguish against its appropriation by sexuation and its insertion into the capitalist mode of production.
Oh, I remember this. This line is beautiful. This line is fucking beautiful. Hang on. Listen to this again. And I know Violet has a heavy accent. I get it. But Violet is very, very, very well versed in queer anarcho-communism. And so what you're going to hear coming out of Violet's mouth is what we get from the queer anarcho-communist manifestos and zines and all that stuff. So listen again.
Was flip the script altogether. Instead of saying that transsubjectivity was rooted in a desire to do away with one's body,
instead of saying that transsubjectivity is rooted in the desire to do away with one's body,
we wanted to suggest the inverse, that dysphoria is nothing but the howl of the body's anguish against its appropriation by
that dysphoria is nothing but the howl of the body's anguish against its appropriation,
sexuation, and its insertion into the capitalist mode of production.
And insertion into the capitalist mode of production. So they're saying gender dysphoria is the body's howl against being inserted into this capitalist binary world. Does everyone understand that? I know we're all distracted by James wanting to fuck a goat, but like, does everyone understand that? Dysphoria is not about feeling as though you're born in the wrong body. Dysphoria is what is it? What is the word I'm looking for? Like a response that you do without thinking. What is that word? What is that word that like a response a visceral. Dysphoria is a visceral response to being inserted into the capitalist system. So sexual classification is not natural, but imposed by the oppressive. Well, that's exactly right, H. Tom, because they believe that capitalism created all sexual classifications. So that makes sense. Listen again.
Such arguments is beyond the scope of our piece. What we wanted to do instead was flip the script altogether. Instead of saying that trans-subjectivity was rooted in a desire to do away with one's body, we wanted to suggest the inverse, that dysphoria is nothing but the howl of the body's anguish against its appropriation by sexuation and its insertion into the capitalist mode of production. In his book, Spinoza, Practical Philosophy, Gilles Deleuze had described Spinoza's statement, "We do not even know what a body can do," as a war cry. For our purposes, we wanted to reframe this statement as a queer war cry. Why? Because all power at its core takes the material body as its object. In both his Punitive Society lectures and in Discipline and Punish, Foucault shows that the worker as a source of labor power doesn't exist a priori, but has to be created through a vast panoply of apparatuses that target the worker's body. An entire area of processes geared towards the production of what he calls docile bodies, that is to say, bodies that have maximum utility.
One of the things that we need to do is we need to find out what subcultures Foucault and Butler were involved in. And what I mean by that is I want to know what influenced Foucault and Butler's ideas about gender.
Minimum resistance. And docile bodies, needless to say, also imply the production of docile subjectivities. Far from being a theoretical abstraction, as many would claim, the reality of power's grip on the body is felt with an extreme intensity in the lives of trans people. From the moment we are born, the medical establishment inscribes the laws of the system onto our flesh through sexuation, a continuous surveillance that begins with the nuclear family, which through its daily punitive games of punishments and rewards.
Hang on. We need to go back. Listening on.
Far from being a theoretical.
Yeah, I understand that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what underground scenes were they involved in. That's not. I'm not. I know who Foucault was. I want to know what was his social circle. Who did he talk to? What clubs did he go to? Who did he interact with? What music did he listen to? That sort of stuff. Is James trying to get me banned off YouTube now? Good fucking luck, James. Good fucking luck. You're literally tweeting about me like sending your 500,000 followers to try to harass me, and you think that YouTube's gonna ban me for saying, "Hey, why don't we report this asshole for targeted harassment?" Bro. James is really flailing now. Did he actually do that? Hang on. God damn it. Ruining my entire fucking stream, asshole! See, this is what I'm talking about. Foucault frequented underground and avant-garde gay clubs, particularly in Paris and San Francisco during the 70s and San Francisco during the 70s and the 80s. I want to know if he was involved in the queercore shit. I want to know if he was involved in the homocore shit. Because I think Butler was. Yeah, James is trying to ban me because that's all he has. He literally did. He tweeted at fucking YouTube to try to get me banned. Yeah, good fucking luck, James. Good fucking luck. Whatever. We're not going to worry about that right now. James can suck an egg. Back to this. Violet's making a point about the nuclear family.
Abstraction, as many would claim, the reality of power's grip on the body is felt with an extreme intensity in the lives of trans people. From the moment we are born, the medical establishment inscribes the laws of the system onto our flesh through sexuation, a continuous surveillance that begins with the nuclear family, which through its daily punitive games of punishments and rewards ensures the moral upbringing of the child into the responsible future citizen subject, and also wards the future deviancy, continues all the way into our adult lives as we are denied jobs, healthcare, passports, friendships, even citizenships, as our bodies are made into objects of mockery, sneers, and hate from upstanding citizens, or cynically invested in by liberals who want to perpetuate the very order that kills us, or especially when our bodies become the target of the violence of the police and the murderous social order that the police protect.
Hang on, I'm sorry, I need to listen to this again. This is so frustrating that James is being such an asshole while we're trying to work, but like, whatever.
intensity in the lives of trans people. From the moment we are born, the medical establishment inscribes the laws of the system onto our flesh through sexuation, a continuous surveillance that begins with the nuclear family.
So when Violet says sexuation, it means assigning someone a gender. Okay, I got it.
Which through its daily punitive games of punishments and rewards ensures the moral upbringing of the child into the responsible future citizen subject, and also wards of future deviancy, continues all the way into our adult lives as we are denied jobs, healthcare, passports, friendships, even citizenships, as our bodies are made into objects of mockery, sneers, and hate from upstanding citizens, or cynically invested in by liberals who want to perpetuate the very order that kills us, or especially when our bodies become the target of the violence of the police and the murderous social order that the police protect. It would be a mistake, however, to think that the apparatus seizes hold of a passive body that just lies waiting for it. In fact, the true target of the apparatus is always the body's capacity for resistance. In his Punitive Society lectures, Foucault shows that the true target of the disciplinary apparatuses was resistance on part of those who refused the wage labor regime, either through acts of explicit violence such as machine breaking, or even more dangerously, through what he refers to as an infra-legal illegalism, an illegalism that precedes the law and that involves refusing to constitute one's body as a source of labor power. As Michelle pointed out earlier, all work comes with gendered expectations. If queer is not merely an identity, but as the Mary Nardini gang point out, the qualitative position of opposition to presentations of stability and a total rejection of the regime of the normal, then we can understand queer and trans fugitivity as precisely a mode of illegalist resistance that is targeted by the—
Hang on. We got our Mary Nardini gang reference. I've heard this about 8,000 times. Okay. Everyone listen.
Refers to as an infra-legal illegalism, an illegalism that precedes the law and that involves refusing to constitute one's body as a source of labor power. As Michelle pointed out earlier, all work comes with gendered expectations. If queer is not merely an identity, but as the Mary Nardini gang point out, the qualitative position of opposition to presentations of stability.
The qualitative position of opposition to presentations of stability.
And a total rejection of the regime of the normal.
And a total rejection of the regime of the normal. Oh, for fuck's sake! James. James, let's have a little talk, bro. Let's have a little talk. As I'm trying to analyze queer Marxism, James, I don't actually care if YouTube bans me. Do you want to know why, James? Do you want to fucking know why? Because I will just stream on Rumble. Where in the replies? Hang on. And everyone will follow me there, James. And it really won't be that big of a... Oh my God. Wait. Everyone stop. Wait. We are aware and discussing options. James, you are a public person. I'm not afraid of you, James. He's not saying he's gonna sue. He can fucking whatever. It doesn't really matter. Do I have a BPD diagnosis? No, James. Not only do I not have a BPD diagnosis, I've actually gone to therapists and asked them about this, and every single time they say I don't have a personality disorder. So, James, let me just lay it out for you, bro. Let me just lay it out for you. I'm pretty amused at your little unhinged rant right now. And obviously, I'm way far in your head, and you are not mentally stable. But James, if you cost me anything related to my business, not that YouTube is like the biggest driver of revenue for me, because it's actually really not, and I would actually be fine, but just as a statement of principle, if you cost me anything related to my business, I'm suing your ass for defamation and tortious interference or some such shit, whatever the fuck it is, when you are trying to interfere in someone else's business. Because you are the one trying to cost me money, bro. I don't care if your fucking retarded audience listens to you. It makes no difference to me at all. You're the one behaving like an unhinged lunatic. You're the one that's been spreading smear campaigns about me for years that I can easily disprove. I actually know one of your fucking mistresses that can help me disprove it. Your daughter isn't even going to be on your own side. So, James, if you want to fuck around, you can damn well find out. And this is a battle that I would win. So, thank you, Kino. I appreciate that. Maybe, James, maybe you should get the fuck off the internet for a couple hours, go smoke a joint, or have a beer, or whatever the fuck you do to relax, and calm the fuck down. 'Cause ain't no one getting banned off the internet today, bro. And even if you did, there still would be platforms that I would be on, and I would still be doing exactly what I'm doing. And I have like 8,000 accounts on Twitter, so even if you get one of them, all the other ones are going to exist. And guess what, James? We've got backup upon backup upon backup upon backup, and you can't do shit about it. So we're not scared, bro. Not scared at all. But you have defamed me on multiple different levels, and I'm not taking your shit. Back to this.
Then we can understand queer and trans fugitivity as precisely a mode of illegalist resistance that is targeted by the apparatuses of normalization. The apparatuses definitely serve the capitalist mode of production, of this there is little doubt, but they also form the conditions.
The apparatuses serve the capitalist means of production, of that there is no doubt. Is that what Violet said?
Either through acts of explicit violence such as machine breaking, or even more dangerously through what he refers to as an infra-legal illegalism, an illegalism that precedes the law and that involves refusing to constitute one's body as a source of labor power. As Michelle pointed out earlier, all work comes with gendered expectations. If queer is not merely an identity, but as the Mary Nardini gang point out, the qualitative position of opposition to presentations of stability and a total rejection of the regime of the normal, then we can understand queer and trans fugitivity as precisely a mode of illegalist resistance that is targeted by the apparatuses of normalization. The apparatuses definitely serve the capitalist mode of production, of this there is little doubt, but they also form the conditions for the existence of the state form. In the History of Sexuality, Volume 1, Foucault points out that sex was not a pre-existing datum seized on by power, but precisely an effect of the dispositive or apparatus of sexuality. And sex, or the dispositive of sexuality, formed precisely the privileged intersection between the anatomopolitics of discipline and the biopolitics of populations. In other words, if capitalism needed the dispositive of sexuality to produce docile and productive bodies inserted into its regime of production, the state also needed the dispositive of sexuality for its policing and management of populations.
Okay. Hang on. What is Violet saying here? Hang on. What Violet is saying is, if capitalism needs the gendered system in order to be productive, then the state also needs that gendered system. Do I have that right?
between the anatomopolitics of discipline and the biopolitics of populations. In other words, if capitalism needed the dispositive of sexuality to produce docile and productive bodies,
if capitalism needed sexuality to produce docile and productive bodies,
inserted into its regime of production, the state also needed the dispositive of sexuality for its policing and management.
The state also needed gender for policing
of populations
and management of the population. So Violet is insinuating that the binary gender system serves multiple functions under capitalism. It serves the police, it serves population management. This is reinforcing that capitalism is a cultural system, a social system, as much as it is an economic system.
And the sexed body was a product of this intersection between discipline and biopower, between capitalism and the state. Capitalism and the state, we believe, not only mutually reinforce each other, but form the condition for each other's existence. With respect to the lives of gender-defined people, this is demonstrated extremely well by Jessica Hinchey's work on the colonial governance of hijras in 19th century British India. Contrary to the popular belief that the persecution of gender deviance and homosexuality was a mere colonial ideological import, Hinchey demonstrates that the policing of hijras in the second half of the 19th century was a principal technique through which the colonial state was able to manifest itself in its materiality. The problems posed by the hijras were manifold. A mobile population, fear of the moral contamination of public space by sodomites, that's what the British taught them to be, which was amplified through belief in the miasma theory of disease. Also, the belief that all hijras were castrated and therefore incapable of becoming productive subjects. The problem of identifying and categorizing hijras on population service, etc. It's too vast a topic to be able to cover within the time constraints of this presentation. But if there was one word that could encompass the myriad reasons behind the colonial targeting of the hijras, is that the hijras were seen as ungovernable by the colonial government and a perennial thorn in the side of colonial statecraft. As in Foucault, I do not pose these questions of the past for the mere purposes of historiography, but to do an archaeology of our present. The threat posed by the hijras disrupted the colonial state's ocular gaze, its capacity to identify, classify, and then produce the subjects of its rule. In other words, the illegibility of the hijra body and its movements posed a threat to colonial statecraft. Today, an echo of this can be seen in the implementation of the National Registration of Citizens, or the NRC, in Assam, in the state of Assam. After the NRC was passed in the state of Assam, over 2,000 trans people found themselves excluded from the list and were thus bereft of their status as citizens and sent to detention camps. I'll not delve further into the details of the NRC. All this is just to underscore that the stakes of a politics of trans or queer liberation today cannot be anything short of ridding ourselves of the two cold monsters that constitute our modernity, the state and the capitalist mode of production. Which brings me to my third and final part, liberation. How to imagine a politics of trans liberation today? In our piece, we broach the topic of reterritorialization on the plane of the state and capital, but we do not lay out an exact blueprint for trans liberation. However, we would like to perhaps point to some indicators of what we feel such a politics would necessitate. In a text called To Have Done with the Massacre of the Body, which was published anonymously in 1973, but that is now attributed to him, Felix Guattari wrote, "This antiquated world which stinks everywhere of dead flesh horrifies us and convinces us of the necessity of carrying..."
Okay, I just need to acknowledge that today's effort is a wasted effort. I cannot focus on this. I don't think other people are focusing on this. And James has successfully ruined a stream that was supposed to be an analysis of queer Marxism because James cares about nothing but himself. And, you know, we got about halfway. You know, I remember it being a little bit more interesting in the beginning. Honestly, maybe I just thought that this presentation was more significant than it was. I don't know. Or maybe it's that we've watched way more like crazy shit since we found this. And so this was like, it seemed crazy when we watched it, and then we watched more crazy shit and now it seems less crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I can't really focus on this. And, yeah, if only Jimmy were man enough to join the chat. So let's just do one final check-in with James to see if he's having any more unhinged replies. There were some nuggets in Violet's speech, but I gotta go back and watch it another time. I really do. I have to go back and watch it another time. I cannot focus on it right now because James is being an unhinged retard. Ba-da-da-da-da. James is talking about the personality disorders that I don't have. Hey James, want me to clue you in on something, bro? You talking publicly about how I have personality disorders I don't have is another thing I can sue you for if you want to go down this route. I can sue you for telling everyone that I tried to have sex with you when our DMs actually show explicitly otherwise. I can sue you for any number of things, bro. You want to fuck around? We can find out real quick. But James, none of your unhinged meltdowns are going to have anything to do with me not critiquing your work. Because that's really the point. That's really the point of all of this, James. All of this started because you are lying to your audience about what the left is doing. And I'm fucking tired of it. And I can prove that you're lying to your audience using not my opinion, not pinky swear, trust me, bro. I can prove you're lying to your audience using primary source video from the left. And I can prove it without even trying that hard. That's why we've debunked you so many fucking times. And it's why so many of your smarter audience members eventually end up over here because they get sick of your shit. And James, we all know that you're all bent out of shape, that I will not stop publicly critiquing your work. You can whine, you can cry, you can kick, you can scream. I don't really fucking care. You can try to get me banned off of Twitter. You can try to get me banned off of YouTube. Neither of those things would actually be a deal breaker for me, James. Do you want to know why? They're not the primary platforms I make my money on, bro. But very woke of you to try to silence people who are critiquing your work, James. Very woke of you. I appreciate this from the perspective that you are clearly revealing yourself and who you really are to anyone with a functioning brain. And while you're doing this, do you know what I'm going to keep doing? I'm going to keep producing my work on Substack. I'm going to keep writing my books. I have several books in production right now that are quite frankly better than yours. I already have people funding my books. And everyone knows what's up. And James, if you get me banned off of any fucking platform, do you know what that's going to do? That's going to be a massive fucking explosion in popularity for me. Because there's nothing wrong with saying, if you are engaging in targeted harassment against me, let's go report that motherfucker. Because that's exactly what you're doing, bro. You are the one with the 500,000 followers. And my audience will follow me over to Rumble. My audience follows me on several different platforms, dude. All you have is on Twitter. So, keep having your unhinged meltdowns, and I'm going to go do some writing now. Essentially, what I need to do, guys, is I need to shut myself off from all this fucking unhinged lunacy, and I'm going to go do some writing. And that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to be back tomorrow, and I might go live a little bit earlier tomorrow because it really depends on what type of coverage is coming out of Washington, D.C. I do want to cover the People's March in Washington, D.C. The People's March is the rebranded Women's March. Obviously, we're going to be doing Socialism Saturday. I will figure out whether that's going to be current coverage of tomorrow or if we're going to watch something else. I don't know yet. We are obviously going to be covering the inauguration on Monday. Man, James has to ruin everything. We're going to have like a nice little chill day, a nice chill day of listening to queer Marxism, having a beer, hanging out, and then James had to tweet about fucking a goat. Wasn't on my bingo card today, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, James, I'm sure I'm going to have a YouTube channel tomorrow, and if I don't, guys, please subscribe to me on Rumble. It's rumble.com/Carlin. And if I don't have a YouTube channel tomorrow, come over to Rumble. And if my Twitter account suddenly goes dark, then you can follow the update accounts or any of the other accounts that I have. And because we've got backup plan upon backup plan upon backup plan, because I've been through this before, and James Lindsay is not the first asshole I've run into. But I appreciate everyone who supports my work. I appreciate everyone who allows me to do what I do. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Could you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.